I love Welcome back to Soften Up with Crystal Alexandria. Soften Up is designed to be a soft place to land for the revolution. We all know that these times are no joke. My hope is that this is a really cozy corner of the world where you can come, let your nervous system guard down, have some really nourishing, stimulating, deliciously connective conversations on topics that may be a bit counterculture, but on a soul level, I don't know, you just get it. You just get it. And you're relieved to see somebody out in the world talking about these things too. We go deep, we get a little witchy with it. And most of all, spending some beautiful quality time together over the interwebs is exactly what I hope this space to be. Today, we're talking about closing open energy loops. Some of you might read that and feel right off the bat, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Other of you might be like, okay, what exactly does that mean? And do I have open energy loops? Like, is that a thing that's happening in my life? By the end of this conversation, you will absolutely be very clear on the answer to that question, along with really simple but very potent tools to help you close out the energy loops and bring your energy back to you so that things from the past can stay in the past where they belong. Yes. Maybe you've noticed those, I call them body memories, things that come a certain time of year or a certain season. You just get these really alive and vibrant reminders of things from the past. For example, this last February, all I could do was think about Mexico. And I'm like, I need to get to Mexico. I want to be in Mexico right now. Yeah, it was the winter months for sure, no doubt. But that previous February, I was on my honeymoon with my wife in Mexico. Our bodies tend to remind us of these things, consciously or not. A lot of times it's very unconsciously, it just kind of bubbles to the surface. All of a sudden, you're like, why am I thinking about that nonstop? That sometimes is as simple as your body remembering this really powerful experience that you had. But it can also be open energy loops. So back in 2020, my parents decided to move cross country to go be with my nephews, their grandkids, to help them grow up and just be a part of their lives. In order to make that happen, they needed to get ready to sell their house. And I was helping them with that process. So there was this one day in the fall, and I was helping my dad clear out the garage. And the garage was notorious for just like kind of a landing place for so much stuff. There was just so much stuff to get through. And as we were going through that process, packing, donating, tossing, my dad paused and just looked around the garage, and he's like, all I see are these projects that I never got around to doing. And he just kind of went one by one, like that one. And he was just telling me what it reminded him of. And that moment just really stuck with me because these things that were creative inspirations for him to make time for in his spare time ended up becoming these kind of weaponized reminders against himself of everything he didn't do. Now, I'm a huge fan of setting out to do a creative project and making that baby happen. Okay. I love a good check mark. I love accomplishing things. It's a thing. And when we don't get around to them, what meaning do we put on it for ourselves? Better yet, some things may just serve as inspiration that got you to the next thing, and it was never actually about finishing that original thing. I just think it's interesting as creative minds how we do have all of these ideas, but not all of them are meant for us to do. Sometimes it's just about being in that practice of getting the idea downloads, getting the inspirations. And some we do something with and some we don't. But it becomes a really heavy weight over time when these things that we don't finish are then hanging and looming and almost like punishing us over time that we didn't actually get around to doing them. And that's a perfect example of how an open energy loop feels to me. It's something that ends up being a drag and a pull on my energy that I maybe don't consciously know is there. But if I track it back to when that original idea, that original conversation, that original friend rupture, that original breakup happened, if I really think about it, I'm like, did I actually bring that to full completion? Did I close it out even for myself? It doesn't even matter about with other people, but with myself, is there still a connection to that thing that feels really viscerally painful, hurtful, heavy, or like our energy just gets really choppy around it? Maybe we're double guessing ourselves. Maybe it's also fueling our anxiety. Either way, it is within our power to bring that thing to a close and take our energy back from it. And I've got some really great tools for you to do that with. When we're talking about the bigger energy loops, meaning a loss of someone, a relationship breakup, maybe a really tough thing that happened. It could be like an accident or something. These events mark us on a cellular level in our bodies, in our emotional bodies, our physical bodies, and in our minds as well. It's also a type of cellular memory that can catalyze really powerful healing if we let it. I'm not of the opinion that every single energy loop is here to drive like huge healing for us. I think that would become really exhausting over time. But I do think some of those like more emotionally charged things that are just kind of like hanging in our psyche, those are the ones where even just the simple process of figuring out how to fully let it go and disconnect our energy from it, that in and of itself can be extremely healing, just that alone. So essentially, put just one more way, these energy loops that are still open inside of us at those emotional and cellular levels, they may be asking us to honor the ending, to heal what happened, or just to simply process it and acknowledge it so that we can move on. Now, the cool thing is about these tools that I'm going to share with you is that they can be used for the big ones, but they can also be used for the small ones. So where the big ones are like big ruptures, big loss, that kind of thing, it can also be, I didn't love how I said that in that conversation. It could be the ending of a creative project. And not that anything bad happened, it just literally came to an end. You completed it. Good job. You did the thing. And sometimes I even close the energy loops with trips that I take. It's kind of my practice of honoring the land and honoring the people that I encountered in this place that is foreign to me. And it's also, it's almost like an energetic version of leave no trace. I just like to take my energy back and also give thanks and honoring to the experience that I had. And then that way, once I close the loop, I feel really complete both on my side, what I'm gaining from the experience, and also what I gave to the experience. Okay, so put in the simplest terms, an open energy loop is simply something that just didn't get a proper finish. Think of it like an invisible energy force in your life, kind of like an app running in the background of your phone that is just using energy and taking up space, but you may not be looking at it every day. And frankly, you probably forgot about it. But it's still pulling on your energy. Open energy loops are kind of this like invisible embodiment of the ellipses. It's like a real life ... And while they may be unseen, they're definitely not unfelt. We feel them in one way or another. They might kind of just nag at us in the background. They might be spiking our cortisol a bit every time we think about it. Might give us a pit in the stomach. If we think about a certain person or an event, they may keep us in longing for something or someone, and they might annoy and anger us too. That's real. They leak our energy knowingly or unknowingly, and this is just a really solid energy practice to maintain your energy and be aware of where it's leaking, where it's going to. Leaving these loops open just keeps you in this low-key stress cycle. And I don't know about you, but there is just so much pulling on our inner resources every day that wherever we can, that's in our power to control, taking our energy back, honey, let's make that happen, okay? We need our energy for a whole lot right now. Let's get into some practices around this. You may just listen to this a first time through and then come back to actually do the practices. Or maybe as you're listening, you'll start to like have things come to the surface that you know you want to go back and clean up. Or you might come back and actually sit with this and listen to it again with a journal and really be present and see what comes up. Either way, as always, just be careful, especially if you're driving. This kind of energy work can be a little distracting when you're doing those things. So if you have any doubt about that, just come back to it. It'll be there for you. Okay, so closing the loops is an ongoing part of my energy practices. And I do notice that the more that I do this, the more that I check in on this front, the easier it does get to maintain this practice. It actually, whenever I'm at some kind of ending in my life, I know that this is one of my first steps to really complete it energetically and take my power back from it. Step one is to take inventory. Don't overthink it. Just grab a journal and a pen. If you're holding in your mind's eye, show me the open energy loops in my life. You start just jamming and writing them down. Don't overthink it. Just let it flow. Even if it's something that you think like, I really did properly close that out. And if it's still coming up, write it down. There's some kind of reason for it, so just honor it. This is also a really powerful first indication to your body that you are doing something about it. And the act of getting it out of your mind through your hand, through the pen, on paper is that first cue to yourself that you are taking action about it. And even in writing it down, you're probably on some level going to start feeling energy move around it. That could be feeling emotions rise to the surface. You might get a little agitated, or your body might be kind of just like, ugh, you just feel like uncomfortable, or you're fidgeting a lot. That is your body literally starting to move the energy. So if you're yawning or you feel tired all of a sudden, this is your nervous system cueing you in that something is moving. You're not doing anything wrong. This is a very good sign that the work is happening. The magic is happening. The clearing is happening. And in the end, even the act of getting it on paper, I'm telling you, it is so empowering. There's something about it. You just start to feel more in control over these things that were running in the background and feeling really heavy on you. So you might start to feel it getting a little bit lighter right out the gate. If you don't, if it's taking a little bit longer, maybe you're not feeling anything at this step of the game, do not worry. You're not doing it wrong. You're perfectly fine. I'm just trying to cover the bases of what might be moving and shaking during this process. Step 2 is an easy thing to skip over, but I'm really going to encourage you to check in. Step 2 is checking in with your bandwidth by ranking and prioritizing what it is that you just wrote down. Go through the list that you just created, rank each one. 1 being, it's not really a big emotional stressor. It's not really a big deal. I kind of can't believe it's on the list. To 5 being like a really big emotional response or charge around it. You got big feelings under there about it. Go ahead and rank each one, 1 through 5, where they land for you. From there, we're going to start with just one of them, and that's going to be depending on your capacity right now. If you're not in a space where you have a whole lot of capacity to do maybe a bigger emotional one, pick something in the middle then around like a 3 ranking. But if you do have the space for it, go ahead and go for the 5. If you are able to go for one of the higher number ones, it is just really interesting that you might notice in closing the number 5 energy loop that the other ones might start to close out too. Just want to make a note of that. It is just an interesting phenomenon that can happen. Sometimes they're a little bit more related than we think. Be honest with yourself, with your capacity. Choose the one that you want to move forward with to close that loop. Step 3, we're going to get brave. Okay. Like I just said, I have found that sometimes when you move the biggest energy, when you close the biggest energy loop, you will find other ones disappear with it. That taps on, of course, a nice little efficiency, like tick of the box, which I appreciate. But again, we're not making decisions from our mind. We're making our decisions somatically from our body of what our capacity is and what we can do today. It is not uncommon that a lot of different open energy loops will have a really similar or the same root underneath it emotionally. Maybe it's not being able to speak up for yourself. Maybe you're able to speak to a boundary, but you're not able to hold it in place and reinforce it. Maybe there's some pressure inside you feeding the urge to stay hidden or invisible. And by closing the loop, you become maybe more visible. Maybe it might just be some good old-fashioned low self-worth, like low self-esteem stuff. Happens to us all. This stuff runs deep. Whatever that big scary monster is in the form of that open energy loop, I encourage you to square up to it, soften your edges toward it, and really welcome it into conversation with you for this next step. Step 4, we're going for it, people. That open energy loop, what is it that is required to close that baby out? I'm going to go through a couple options, couple examples that might help you come to some clarity of what you need to happen next. Say maybe your big open energy loop is an unresolved ending with a friend. There's a couple ways you can go about this. You can tap into, is it something that I need to actually say to them, or is it just something that I need to say to myself so that I can move the energy out and be done with it? So in that case, if you are called to have a conversation with a friend, maybe do some preparation of what are the things that you want to communicate. Maybe you can tune in like you haven't talked to them in a while. You might intuitively want to check in on like, is this a good thing to do? Do you think they'll be receptive to you? Is this a healthy thing for you, or will it crack open more strife for you? Now, if you want to have the conversation, go ahead and plan it out. Sometimes it's just about writing it down, writing a letter, and then burning that baby afterwards. I've done this a lot. I think this is a beautiful way to speak your truth. And this is energetic conversation. Additionally, an added kind of element that I do in this kind of like closing conversation is I will write out that letter. And then I will sit in ceremony with myself. I'll light a candle. Maybe I'll do some aromatics, incense, something like that to just ground myself in my body. I'm going to drop into my heart. And then I'm going to envision myself connecting to my higher self, which for me just always feels kind of like hovering above. And I imagine myself like rising into my higher self. And then similarly, just like if I were sitting with a friend, like in person, with a heart open, just casually, comfortably just sitting with somebody, I will also imagine them doing like sitting across from me or near me, and then also them in their higher self. So I actually read the letter from my higher self perspective to their higher self perspective. And it's not about what you imagine them to say. It's really just about you moving that energy, feeling heard, speaking your truth. And on some level, when you're speaking higher self to higher self, even if you never make physical contact with this person, you never call, you never text, you never see them again. When you're talking higher self to higher self, there is some kind of transmutation that does end up happening. Sometimes after I've done this, I have heard from the person say, I had a dream about you last night, or like, are you okay? Because they actually felt the ending, but got captured in their dreams in some way. Or that person will call me of like, oh my God, I've been thinking about you nonstop. Like, how are you? Are you good? Like, let's have a chat. You just never know. Being really clear on what you want the intention to be at the very end, which is, in this case, simple closure and taking your energy back. You're giving yourself a chance to be heard, and you're taking your energy back so that you can close that loop. So sometimes it's just the practice in you and your own experience that will close the loop altogether. And sometimes it requires other people. It is really up to you to determine this. Going back to the example with my dad and clearing out the garage, what I ended up doing in the spirit of completion was encouraging him as we were interacting with those things that carried bad memories for him and just that pressure to do something and that he never did something with. I just encouraged him to be grateful for it. And as you're letting it go, putting it into the donation pile, just really release it. Like, you don't need to carry these things with you in order to prove that you had the idea or to prove to yourself that you're creative or whatever the thing was. It's time to let it go. And so I think there was just enough like intention there for things to close out. I've never heard him talk about those things again. So maybe that's a sign. What if you chose like a lighter emotional lift loop that's open? What if it's getting your taxes filed finally? Move it out, babe. Get some help with it and close that out. That's one of those things that can carry just so much charge with it, but the actual actions to get it done, it feels so huge and daunting, but it really is actually very practical. And at the end, what we always forget is how accomplished you feel. And it's just such a relief that you can finally move on and take your energy back from that thing, instead of having it in the background, just drilling into you, just making you feel terrible about yourself, right? Maybe it's an email that you have been meaning to send, you know you need to send, and you just got to sit down and do the thing. Maybe it's something you need to ask for help with. What else is possible? Who could show up so easily and effortlessly to help you with that thing? Sometimes it's just about talking about the thing with one or two friends. Hey, I'm looking for help with XYZ. Do you know anybody? That can just be the simple thing to get things moving. And all of a sudden, the perfect right people are showing up in your life. Whatever it is, move that energy, my love. It is so worth it. You're going to appreciate how you feel. Just imagine the levity, the lightness that you're going to feel after you do the thing. This is your chance. Make it happen. Close that baby out. Take your energy back. Better out than in, and better closed than open. Let me tell you. You think we're done. We're not done yet. couple more steps. Step number 5 is watch, feel, or sense your energy reorganize inside of you. You might sleep amazing tonight. There's just this unconscious piece that you did not have access to before that you do now. And how do you wake up feeling after that sleep? Maybe you feel a little bit less anxious getting through your day. And you're just like, man, what the heck changed? And you're like, well, I did do that practice with Crystal. Maybe that was enough to make me feel a little bit better. Yes, yes, yes. That's real. That's real life improvement. You might feel a little bit more tired. You might need a little bit more rest. Energetic work, while it is unseen, again, it's not unfelt. When there's energy output, that requires fuel, that requires energy inside of you and focus. But also when you regain energy back, again, the reorganization needs to happen. And so you might need a little bit more rest time, more reflection time. Maybe that looks like creative rest. So making time to like read a book or draw or paint something. It could be rest with like a friend of talking about this thing of like, man, it was hanging over me for so long. I did this practice and I just feel so different and it's kind of blowing my mind. But just give it a couple more days and see where you feel the improvement. But it may just take a couple days of like rebalancing the scales and reorganizing energetically inside you to find that new normal. More than anything, I just want you to hear this is all completely normal and healthy for this kind of work. During your sleep and resting is really, truly the easiest time for your body to repair and reorganize. So if you feel like sleeping longer, if you feel like resting more, please, please, please do what you can to make that happen. It's also a form of detoxifying the body. When we're holding on to that stress, that cortisol, those held stuck cells in our body, when those get cleared out, there's kind of like a flushing process that can happen. So drinking lots of water is actually incredible for after energy work. It really just helps rehydrate your cells and give you some extra nutrients. I really highly recommend some electrolytes. It really, really helps just to give you that boost, especially if you're feeling maybe foggy after doing an energy clearing like this, which also is a very, very normal thing to happen. The electrolytes, the hydration, the rest, these are all really reparative, nourishing things for you as you're moving through just the first couple of days after doing a big energy move. One more helpful thing is to give the energy that's releasing out of your body a direction with intention. So here's a perfect example of something maybe you can say to yourself. I give myself permission to release any old stuck energy that no longer serves me. I release it with ease, gentleness, and harmony from my body as I rest and as I sleep. Thank you, thank you, thank you, body. Moral of the story, please be gentle with yourself. If you feel things shifting, it's real, it is happening, and you just want to add some boost, add some supplement and support to allow your body to do that work. Step 6, you're feeling a little better. Guess what we're going to do? We're going to check that baby off your list and we're going to celebrate. We are always going to celebrate big energy moves, okay? This is a big deal for you to not only be attuned to feel that old energy hanging out. You not only picked this conversation to listen to, but then you also did the action of writing it down. You did the work of clearing it out. That really is such amazing work. And I really want you to celebrate that in yourself. I am so celebrating you. You just got that much lighter. You just took that much power back to yourself. You're feeling more empowered. This, my friend, is a win. So go ahead, get that list. Go ahead and check that baby off of it. And the most important thing that always gets skipped over, we're always on to the next thing, is to pause and celebrate. Write yourself a love note, hand over heart, say something really sweet and kind to yourself, and take yourself on a nice self-love date. Buy yourself some flowers. Why not? Take yourself on a new hike, call or text a friend to celebrate with you. Just be sure to celebrate that courage of taking that next step to release the old and take your power back for what's new and what's ahead. And by the way, you're amazing. You're amazing. Step 7, this is for you to tune into your own timing around going ahead and going back to that list and closing out the other energy loops. Before you do that though, before you just assume that you've got this work to do, If you did the biggest one, just know that the rest of them are likely not to be that hefty, unless you have some other fivers on your list, like those ones with a lot of emotional charge, which may be the case. But if that is the case, spread it out. You don't have to do that all back to back to back. There is no perfectionist version of this that is better than taking your time. If you rush it, it does not make it better. It just makes it faster. And that sometimes is not in sync with what your capacity is nervous system wise. If you're still feeling tired from the last one, you're not going to jump right into the next one. You're not going to be able to show up to that in a way that's even fully present. So chill, babes. Gentle, gentle. This work, as you know, can pack a punch. It is work. So titrate. That's a nervous system regulation related tool. Little by little, a little here, organize at that level, do a little bit more, get comfortable there, do a little bit more. Titration is a sustainability strategy. It is a really powerful and helpful thing to honor your body's pace. Before you jump into any next things to work on, I just want you to check in on the list and to get that sense feeling of, are these still the numbers that I rank them at? Because after the bigger clearings, even the smaller ones can sometimes clear out other ones. Just go ahead and check, like, does this still feel open? And would I choose another ranking number for it now? Something that was a 4 might feel like a 2 now, And that's a worthwhile thing to notice. And as you go through the remainder of the list, we're going to hold hands and you're going to say to yourself, no matter what my inner perfectionist says, there is no way to mess this up. There's no way to do it wrong. As long as I have an intention to close this open energy loop and follow my intuition of what that looks like to close it out, that is a win. I can do that. The very last piece to really close out our entire conversation around this is to fill the new space internally with intention. The funny thing about energy work is that when a clearing happens, there's a space left behind. And what our unconscious, our psyche, and energetic body will do is just try to refill that thing with what it was filled with before. Now, the way to combat that is to intend, almost like envision that space being filled with light, like light from the divine, light from universal force, light from love. Fill it with love, fill it with light. And that is a really powerful way to keep that energetic space open for something more aligned to come in, not just refill it with the old stuff. You feel me? I want you to go ahead and just envision in your mind's eye that open space in you now from where that old energy used to sit. Take a deep breath, light a candle, ground yourself fully in your body, and drop into your heart space. And I'm going to offer you some questions that you can ask yourself when you're in this reflective space. How do I want to manage open energy loops moving forward? Is this a regular practice? Is it something that I check in on quarterly, maybe once a year? Whatever that rhythm is for you, check in with that. What about this exercise and this conversation around open energy loops worked for me? What would you improve or edit to make your own? What can you use this newfound energy to manifest in your life this year? What is it that you're calling in? What is it that you desire? How can you use this open, available, intentional space to help make that happen? What did you learn about yourself when it comes to open energy loops? And what did I gain from this exercise together? The shadowy side of open energy loops, another word that you might recognize them as are grudges, things that you hold against other people in order to protect a part of your heart, in order to maybe protect from vulnerability or feeling hurt. And I just encourage us to be honest about those things, because an exercise like this can really reveal some of those more shadowy parts of ourselves. And please, the point of this is not to make yourself wrong for that. It's just to remind you that you're human and you found a little weak spot that you can maybe love on and put some intentionality around so that you can show up differently in the future if that's what you're feeling called to. And you might even learn from this that you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know to look for open energy loops. And I'm so glad I know now, because I don't want my energy going towards anything like that. It's really just this empowering practice to stay on top of so that you can stay right with yourself, but also present with your energy and not have all these like strangly pieces to the past, right? It is a really cool practice to keep your energy yours, thank other people for the lessons and things that came from those interactions, whatever the thing was, and keep on moving with your head held high, knowing that you're doing this work to really care for your energetic body and your heart. If you give any part of this exercise a try, I would love to hear how it goes. What did you gain back? How did you feel afterwards? Is there anything that happened that maybe tripped you up along the way? I would love to help you overcome that. Just drop it in the comments, whether it's on social media, YouTube, or messaging me on any of the platforms. I'm the one that answers it. I would love to hear from you. And as always, this is a self-funded podcast. So every single comment, like, share with your people, and review just means the world and goes so far. So I really appreciate you doing that. It just helps me find more incredible humans like you. And don't we all need to know that we're out there right now? We need to know that there's other folks taking care of themselves this way, having these delicious conversations together, and softening against all odds, softening in the face of so many reasons to harden. I think that that is a very courageous, loving act for ourselves, the world, and what we bring to it. Thank you, as always, for being here. So much love to you. Good work today. Really good work today. Sending you all the love. Until next time. Bye, love.